Alright, hey, what's up everybody? This is GratuiTous from Beatstruggles.com, and thanks for checking out foundational drum loop basics. So before we go into it, there is a free version and there's also a paid version. Beatstruggles has a free course if you sign up to its newsletter, which is hopefully how you guys have gotten here. And so with that said, I've broken down this course into a free and a paid version. The free version is the meat of the subject. That's the information I really want you guys to know. And then once we get into the more advanced topics, I cut it off there, and that is when it becomes a paid course. Okay, so the process of this course is, first I created a slideshow, and then after the slideshow we're going to check out a pre-made drum loop, and then finally we're actually going to build our own drum loop, and that's where I'm going to go over all those points in the slideshow. And then once we get into the more advanced stuff, that is where I'm going to cut it off and become a paid course. But you guys are going to get the meat of the subject, and that's what I want you guys to have so that you guys can continue on with the free course in the Beatstruggles newsletter. All right, so if you guys have any questions on the course, you guys can email me at gratuitous@beatstruggles.com. And if not, thank you very much for visiting beatstruggles.com, and let's go check out the course Foundational Drum Loop Basics. Alright, hey everyone, GratuiTous from Beatstruggles.com, and welcome to Foundational Basic Drum Loops. So first of all, we're going to start off with our slideshow, and this is to do with volume. So every single drum loop is going to have volume. So every single individual hit. You can also change out the word volume for velocity as well. This is something that it is very powerful, and it is often overlooked. Like for example, so you have a classical piano player who's playing on the piano, right? If they're always playing the notes the same volume, it doesn't give any emotion into their piano piece. And it's the same thing for drum loops. Our next one is going to be sound selection. So for example, if you have a hip hop loop, that loop can change from kind of classic kind of beat, but then let's say you change some of those sounds to more of a vinyl, has kind of background static in a lot of the hits and stuff like that. It could be now turned into grimy, gritty kind of feel, all to do with your sound selection. So next we have panning. So first of all, if you don't know what panning is when you can adjust a sound's volume to be just on the left speaker or just on the right speaker. So for example, that sound could be 100% to the left, it could be 50% to the left. Panning is very, very powerful to kind of create variety and change up in your track. When you're listening to sounds in the drum loop, a lot of these sounds are dead center. For example, like your kick drum and your snare, they're like dead center. And then now sound placement. It defines the rhythm of the drum loop. So what I'm saying there is this defines what type of beat you're gonna make. And also your sound placement, in my opinion, is your hardest task as a producer, because that's what creates catchiness. That's what creates, originality. It's very hard to know when you're starting up what sounds good. Like where can you place your sounds? So over the years of my producing, I have realized like where safe spots are for your sounds. So for example, you can place sounds always in certain areas and they're always going to sound good. But then depending on the type of track you're creating, you can then adjust your sounds a little bit or just even nudge them over a little bit. So that was a big thing for me starting up. It was more, where can I place these sounds so that they sound good and not just randomly guess? Now we're going to be getting into some more advanced tricks. So a statement a lot of new producers will say is they can't get that fullness in their sound. All right, so this is the demo drum loop that I want to show you guys, just so we can kind of go over those foundational points, like things such as like volume, sound selection, panning, and sound placement. Let's just listen to the beat, and then we're going to further dissect this drum loop, okay? Okay, so a pretty catchy beat for just one instrument, and a pretty full drum loop. Okay, so there's a decent amount going on here. You hold on Shift and the scroll wheel, and that is going to nudge the note for you. If you hold on Alt and the scroll wheel, as you can see, that is adjusting the volume. Now, another thing I just heard there, so if we right click and go pan, so as you can see, I have panned this snare far left, and let's check out this one. So I've panned this one far right. That is playing dead center because I have the actual snare hit dead center. It's just this individual note that I have panned left. So if we listen to it, you're gonna hear it's on the far left. So if you look up here in the top left, it'll let you know what percentage you're at, you know, so you can go like whatever, 17% or the full thing. Same thing over here, be right. So let's just listen to the snare hit just, you know, just by itself. Now, as you can see on the on my ghost notes, and if you don't have ghost notes, they're very handy. You're going to go this arrow, you're going to go helpers, and then I think it's ghost channels. So what that does is all the other notes inside the same pattern, you are going to see where they hit, and that allows you to kind of be a little bit more creative, because you know what I did here was, see, this snare hit is hitting on the left, and then the second hit is hitting on the right. Now if we go to the next snare hit, so I'll just go here and go snare, as you can see, so this one's hitting on the right and then it's hitting on the left. So we'll listen just to both these snares. Okay, so it kind of gives that wider sound. Let's go to the piano roll and let's just see what I've done. So right now I'm in velocity. And as you can see on this one, I've just kind of turned down the velocity a little bit. So as you can see, what I've done is I've actually nudged some of these hi-hats over. Okay, so when building my drum loops, I'll always start my kick drum on the 1, and then I'll have like my clap on the 2. And then these steps in here are kind of like my fillers. Okay, so by placing a kick here and here kind of keeps the flow when I have a kick drum like this. So if I just do this, okay, so my thoughts on this is, this sounds all good up to here. And then once we get here, it starts becoming repetitive, because this late yet still flows kind of feel, I usually don't like to overdo that. Let's listen to the drum loop here, and I'm gonna focus on our last 4 beats here. I like it. All I did there was I just added in that one note to kind of give it a little bit more flavor. We've touched a bit on most of the foundational basics except volume and panning, okay? So most people can get to this point fine, but now it's using these foundational basics to further enhance your drum loop, to give it that catchiness. Your sound selection is very important, and as well as your sound placement. That's what defines your track. It's going to sound catchy no matter what, especially if you have programmed an amazing drum loop. But once you start adding volume and panning in and stuff like that, it adds another layer. Okay, so to adjust some volume here, I'm going to use this quicker kick. I'm just going to go to the piano roll, right click on the sound, go piano roll. Okay, so I'm thinking this kick drum right here, I'm just going to lower the volume a little bit on that. We'll hear how that sounds. So maybe just a little bit more. It was a little bit quiet. Now you can even go as far as to pan kick drums. This is kind of looked down upon in the industry when you're dealing with bass. Your common practice is always to have your kick drum and your bass line always in the center, and always to have it sound good in mono. That way your kick drum will never get lost if your track ever goes to a mono system. But I'm not telling you to pan your main kick drum. I sometimes pan these layer kick drums. However, I'm still keeping into consideration to keep my beat sounding good by keeping my main kick drum center, you know, so it sounds good mono. But then I can fiddle around with my layers, because these are just like my layer kick drums, which I can play around with and you know, do whatever makes the beat sound better. So the one that I turned down in volume, so we'll come here. So this one right here, go to pan. Let's put this to the left, okay? So again, if I put my mouse here, you can see in the top left here, I'm at 75% left. Let's not go all the way, and I'm gonna put this up to 75 too. You know, just kind of keeping the same. So let's listen to that. But I just wanted to show you volume and panning before we went further, okay? So, you know, all I did was I right-clicked, I went piano roll, and then right-click here, and you have different sounds. Let's put our instrument over top of it. Let's hear how this sounds, okay? Hey, you know, it sounds pretty cool. However, let's make it better, okay?